Hey everybody, welcome to Black Lotus Live, where we talk about all things strange and unusual. And tonight we are going to be talking about ghost ships in the America's Great Lakes. I'm getting feedback somehow. Terry, do you have both computers open?
Um, no.
Okay. Do you have YouTube open?
No. I was trying to get it open, but it's not open. I'll just get
It's
out.
it's not. No. It's not happening anymore. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, there it is again.
I'm hearing it too.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Anyway. So tonight we're going to be talking about the ghost ships, or a couple of ghost ships that sank in the Great Lakes back in the 1800s. And if you don't know this about the Great Lakes, they were used when the Midwest was developing back in the 1800s. They used the Great Lakes to transport people and goods to developing cities. And the reason they did that is because they didn't really have railways or roads to speak of. And so they used the ships in that corridor. And so, like, for instance, what note did I make here? That the distance between Duluth, Minnesota and the St. Lawrence Seaway is over 2,000 nautical miles. And today, that kind of journey can be done in about 48 hours. But back then, it took like 10 days to complete the journey. And so they say that it was compared to rush hour in Detroit today. That's how busy this waterway was. And so, the likelihood of mishaps or collisions, was pretty high. So, so there were a lot of ships that went down. And I think I read that there were something like 6,000 ships that went down in the Great Lakes.
Wow.
And today, people are still seeing them. So kind of strange. But Wild, why don't we start with you? You were going to do something on Le Griffin.
Yeah. Okay, let me read my notes right here. Let's see. Open everything up here.
Hey, before you do that, let me say hi to some people here. I'm surprised we got anybody. I'm surprised we got anybody in here to begin with it because it's Super Bowl Sunday. Walt Corbin, how's it going? Let's see, who else do we have here? I never say your name correctly. It's Zach DeCast Monsieur, I guess. Corlan, it's nice to see you here.
Hey, awesome. Always good to see Coral Ann. One of the greatest.
So not many people in the room, but hey, we're glad you're here instead of watching football.
Okay, so the website, I'm reading this off if you want to check it out yourself. It's called thumbwind.com. The article name is 4 Hair-Raising Tales of Ghost Ships of the Great Lakes, published on November 20th, 2021 by the Thumbwind staff. Okay, so this one ship is called the Griffin. It was a ship that was completed in August 1679 by a French adventurer called La Salle. It was the first ship of European design to be built on the Great Lakes. And it sounds like a beast, even for today's standards, because it could carry up to 45 tons of cargo. And it was about 40 feet long. And it had 7 guns on it. Let's see. So, it was basically built to travel and trade in the upper Great Lakes. It traveled up Lake Erie through the Detroit Straits. And let's see, it ended up actually sinking in 1679. And several sailors in Lake Michigan claim to have seen it making its way through the lake. So that's basically the main details of this ship. So it is pretty old, from the 1679 is when it was last seen.
How did it sink? What happened?
This article actually, I didn't see it. It mentioned why it sunk, actually. Yeah. But it does say the wreckage was never discovered. Yeah. So, so maybe we don't know why it sunk. We just, it just disappeared. It could be. And if you never see it again, it's pretty obvious it sunk at some point, unless it was teleported somewhere else. Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things that I find interesting about these is that a lot of these wreckages have never been discovered. And I understand, the Great Lakes are pretty deep, but so is the Atlantic Ocean, and they've discovered shipwrecks there. So,
yeah, I imagine it's pretty expensive to track down a ship, not only in the cost but also in time and man hours. Well, maybe nobody's put up the. And I mean, I guess you could find something valuable. I mean, it could be worth your time if they were carrying precious cargo. But if they were just carrying something that wasn't that much of value, then there's not going to be much return for your investment.
So people are seeing these, even though they've sunk forever ago. How do they know that it's actually that particular ship? What was about this ship that they could distinguish that this is the one?
Well, like this ship was very special because it was it had a European design, so it looked different than all the other ships.
Okay.
And I guess by the dimensions and I guess the design, I guess kind of like a car,
Okay.
There's different models of cars and UFOs. So I think that's what people use to identify the ship.
And they don't make them like that anymore, obviously. Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, the most of these sinkings occurred, like I said, back in the 1800s, but it goes up into modern times, into the 20th century as well. For instance, the SS Edmund Fitzgerald set out from Duluth on November 9th of 1975. And they were going to Zug Island Docks in Detroit, Michigan. And the freighter, Arthur M. Anderson, was about 15 miles behind her when the two crews radioed each other about a huge storm that was brewing. And within minutes, the captain of the Fitzgerald radioed that his ship was damaged and had a list to it, and it was taking on water. And it did sink, and all 29 crew members died and went down with the ship. And no remains were ever recovered. And the reason for that is that apparently the average temperature of Lake Superior is about 36 degrees.
Ooh, that's cold.
Yeah, and it's cold enough to, inhabit bacterial growth and prevent bodies from rising. And in the case of Fitzgerald bodies, they all went down with the ship and never came back up. And so they never discovered the bodies. So I thought that was interesting because it may also add to the fact that a lot of ships have not been discovered because they just sink and they sit at the bottom of the floor and nothing floats up, bodies or otherwise,
It seems weird, though, that nothing would come up.
Yeah.
You would think something, a piece of wood, I don't know.
Something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but
that makes sense.
Yeah. But
the bacteria thing you said, basically, what happens is that when normally when something dies, bacteria within your body starts decomposing the body, but bacteria produce byproducts. They produce waste basically when they're eating, just like humans, but their waste is a gas. So usually what would happen if you die in a regular body of water that's not too cold, that has bacteria, then that bacteria produce a bunch of gas, and the gas is lighter than water, and so your bodies would float to the top. That's why you see dead whales floating on the top of water. But what's very interesting, you're saying it's too cold for that bacteria to survive, so that gas is never built in the body, so the body never floats.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that accounts for that part. Yeah.
Have you ever been to Superior?
I've been to one of the Great Lakes. I don't remember which one it was, but I have been to one of the Great Lakes.
I went to Lake Superior when I lived in Minnesota. We went fishing there, and I was amazed by the place. I mean, I had lived in New Orleans and been to Lake Pontchartrain, and you can't see the other edge, the other shore
Right.
on Lake Pontchartrain. But Lake Pontchartrain, it's a very still lake.
Yeah.
But Superior is not like that. Not only can you not see the other shore, but it's almost like being at the ocean. I mean, they don't have huge waves coming in,
They got waves,
but they're pretty decent sized waves,
Yeah.
And
when I went to one of the lakes, it was sandy and it was clear water and there were waves. It was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard that. I'm sorry. I'll say real fast. I heard one of the reasons why the lakes are really cold, really clear. It's actually a bad. I mean, it's good that they're clear, I guess, but it's bad. The reason why is because they have this invasive mollusk called a zebra mussel. A mussel is kind of like an oyster, and zebra mussels they're not supposed to be there. They're invasive, but they're incredible filter feeders. So there's so many of them. They're filtering the water clear. Yeah.
I remember when I lived there, they were having real issues with the zebra mollusks. But anyway, so people have been claiming they've seen the Fitzgerald sailing along in the waters. And I remember seeing a video. This one guy shot a video of it, and it was very suspect as to whether or not it was real or not. I mean, some people said that it looked like water spouts. I didn't think they looked like water spouts. I've seen water spouts in Florida off the Gulf Coast, but it didn't really look like water spouts. But it was something. I wouldn't go so far as to say that it was CGI. It just didn't look like CGI. It looked like raw footage. But what it was, I think, is anybody's guess. But
I got to say too, as far as the observations of things like ghost ships or anything that a human observes, I just got to say, like, the human eyes are very bad cameras. They're not very good at observing what is actually there. They're very easily tricked, and human ears are very bad, at hearing things. And the human mind is a very bad computer for processing information. I used to teach college, university, and I taught a class called Foundations of Science. And in one class, it was called one of the lessons we taught, which I actually ended up writing that lesson for the lab manual. But that lesson was called Limits of Perception. And basically what it taught was that humans, like basically what I said, the human brain can be easily tricked. The human eyes can be easily tricked. The human brain can be easily tricked, and the ears can be easily tricked. So to me now, the more I think about it, a lot of paranormal reports are based on eyewitness accounts. A lot of those I don't really trust that much. I trust better if there was like really hardcore scientific equipment, like a camera that's much better than our eyes, or a listening equipment that's much better. But I will say, I mean, that only goes so far, because if you see something far away for a few seconds, then I'm a little suspect. But if something comes up to you and is right in your face, touches you, or hits you across the face, like like for you, Damien, if you just see a gray alien right next to you, well, then that's a lot different to me. Yes, I do believe that. But I'm more talking about people that see something hundreds of miles in the sky, several feet in front of them, behind some trees. Those kind of cases, I'm just like, I just, not that I don't believe the person, but it's just, I don't believe their eyes or their.
Well, it's just like any other mirage.
Because.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, just like a mirage.
Especially when you're observing something over, let's say, Lake Superior, and you see something out there, I think it's entirely possible that what you're actually looking at is reflections in the misty air over the lake from the lake itself. So I think that's what it could possibly be. And like I was saying about that guy with the video, and I think that that's exactly what he filmed, you know. So, because it's not as though like Lake Superior doesn't get misty, because it certainly does, you know, especially out like in the middle of the lake, you know.
True.
So yeah, I'm thinking it was just, you know, mirages. Now, if I'm not saying these ghost ships don't exist, but I
Right.
think it's more likely that what people are seeing is a trick of the eyes.
So why do we see ghost ships and not ghost
Yeah,
cars?
because I think with
And you know, other type of
that's a good question.
vehicles ghost wise. I guess we do. I guess they see horse and carriage
Wow.
ghosts.
Well, and I think that people have
Right.
reported seeing ghost cars,
That's a good
you
question.
know. Like for instance, is it Mulholland Drive in California where James Dean died? People report seeing him racing down. Is it Mulholland? I think it's Mulholland. But yeah, so they've reported that. So, and that wouldn't be a mirage, you know. But
Well, I got a question about, you know, we're talking about ghost ships that, you know, people are assuming to see these ships out in the sea. But what about ships that have shown up to a shore or something like that, and then the crew's missing?
yeah, totally abandoned.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that's still a ghost ship. I mean, nobody's controlling it.
Well, and people have also reported seeing on the Great Lakes. I honestly I don't remember the case with this one, but I do remember that they said that they saw a crew on a ship that had supposedly sank back in the 1800s. You know,
No.
and so and then they were all dressed in period clothing. You know, so yeah.
I have two things I just thought about that are interesting about ghost ships or in the paranormal. One is that we can't forget about the mystery airship sightings. So there was this I forget exactly when it happened, but Zelia Edgar was talking about it. But there was this flap of ghost ships appearing in the sky. This was before UFOs were reported. So people would see a ship, like a ship that was supposed to be in the ocean, but it was in the sky and it had a crew and they would throw down an anchor. So that's interesting. And then the other thing is that apparently there's a connection with paranormal and water, bodies of water, you know, like, you know, I don't know what that connection is, but apparently like UFOs are seen more coming out of bodies of water. So perhaps the reason why we see more ghost ships than we do ghost cars is because of the water connection, because just water is a more paranormal type of conduit.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the reasons that you have that triangle. Is it called the Michigan Triangle? You know, I mean, because and they're claiming, in fact, Kimberly O'Connor, who's usually on our show, but she's feeling under the weather tonight, lives in Ohio, and she was talking about that, and she said that this Michigan Triangle carries a lot of paranormal activity with it because of the water, you know.
Mhm.
So I think that's entirely feasible. And where you have a lot of paranormal activity, usually there's a lot of water around it, you know. So
I wonder why that is. Why?
I think it's a conduit.
Yeah, I was going to say why water is the essence that puts everything together.
What are your
Well,
thoughts
for
on
you-
that, Juan?
For UFOs, specifically just for UFOs, I think water makes sense why you would see so much UFOs there, because underwater is one of the areas where humans hardly ever go to. I mean, every now and then we get a scuba diver, but there's no permanent habitations underwater. So it's a perfect place to hide. That's why UFOs would be there because, well, but they're different because they're intelligent, you know. So that makes sense for UFOs. That's why I think they're seen coming out of the water and going into the water, because obviously they want to remain secret. And so hiding underwater is a good place to remain secret. But that only accounts for that. It's like, as far as the other paranormal activity, well, it's kind of funny because, I mean, just looking at it through statistics, just looking at the statistics of it, the vast majority of the planet is covered in water. So if you were going to have paranormal activity on the planet, it's statistically more likely to occur over or in water, because that's what the majority of the planet is. That's another thing, you know. That
Good
could
point.
be why. Yeah.
But I'm going to put this out there. If any of you in YouTube land would like to join us, I'm going to put in the link, and let me see if I can do this. My computer's so far away I can't see what I'm doing.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so there's the link. If you guys would like to join us, please pop in and
Give
put
us
in
your
2
opinion.
cents. So,
Well, while we're talking about ghost ships, I am, you know, I don't get to do a whole lot of research because my time is limited. But the only really big thing that I know about is I'm curious about the Flying Dutchman. Do you guys know, was that actually a real ship?
Yeah.
Or is it a real ghost ship? Is it?
well, that's
What do
up for speculation, but yeah, it was a real ship.
It was.
Yeah,
a real ship. Okay.
It was a storm that brought that one down, and the captain said that he would not make it, or he would not let the storm stop him from getting to the
The port.
excuse me, Cape of Good Hope. And so it sunk, and he went down, and everybody went down with the ship. So now there's supposedly a glowing ship that's out there as a reminder for his arrogance.
Oh.
It's been noted that it was like in 1939, it was seen by 12 people off the south coast of South Africa.
Oh, really?
And in World War II, a German Admiral Karl Donitz and the crew saw it by Cape Town. And there's some reports of skeletons dancing in the rigging when it was seen.
Really? Oh, cool.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people have seen this thing.
Right.
So who knows what it is, actually.
Well, they say it glows because it wants to either lure the ships to the rocks or warn the ship of rocks. We don't know which it is.
Hmm.
You know, and a lot of
what I was thinking too?
Reported sightings that I've seen is that these are sightings that came back from way back. You know, I don't think that there are any modern sightings, and it kind of makes me wonder about the UFO factor. If they're glowing like that,
right?
You know, I wonder if people have just attributed the UFOs to that ship. You know what I mean?
Well, I was about to say that it'd be if let's say you're a UFO and you don't want to be seen, or you don't want people to know you're a UFO. Like, what if you appeared as a ghost ship? Because then people would see you, but they wouldn't think UFO. They would think ghost ship. So it'd be a way of throwing people off the trail.
Entirely possible. You know, then there's a lot of UFO activity in the Great Lakes, so that could account for it. Some maybe, but. So yeah.
Looks like no one wants to join us.
Yeah,
today.
I don't think anybody's going to join us here. This is going to be kind of a short show, and the reason being is because Kimberly O'Connor was supposed to be here with a report, and she, like I said, she's just feeling under the weather today, so she couldn't make it. But yeah. So yeah, if anybody wants to join us again,
This is
I'll
Super
put-
Bowl Sunday, though.
it is Super Bowl Sunday, and like I said earlier, I'm surprised anybody's here at all. So I'm going to put the link in again. So if you guys want to join us, hop on with us.
Did we have any comments? Anybody's left?
I think Walt Corbin was talking about how he also was just thinking about cars, just like Ralph. He was like, what about ghost cars? You know, why don't we see that? Well, see, ships are a little bit different because ships are kind of like a mode of transportation and kind of like a building at the same time. What I mean by building is because they're very large and they hold people, a lot of people in them, and people sleep and work on them. Whereas a car is much smaller and people don't generally live in a car. I mean, some people do, unfortunately.
And a car's not going to like sink into the road necessarily unless there's a ditch, you know. So we see the crashes and things like that. But I mean, it's not going to just. Typically, cars don't just disappear.
But think
That is
about how many
interesting, though.
more people die from a car accident than going
Right.
down with a ship.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, there's a lot of deaths on the highway.
But I
And
think
there
they're
are some-
automatically seen. You know what I mean? It's already been seen. Everybody's seen the accident or everybody's seen the aftermath.
Right. But I think the point is that, like, why don't we see more ghosts? Because there's so many fatalities on the road, shouldn't we maybe see more ghost stories related to those fatalities, you know?
Well, there are a lot of them, but
There are some. There are out there, yeah. But I would think there'd be
probably not
more,
as many
maybe.
as there should be.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
well, I don't think we're going to get any takers tonight on this, and so because of that, like I said, I think this is going to be a short show tonight. So I think we're going to cut it here, folks. Thanks a lot for showing up and watching our silly little thing. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and please. Oh, wait, we do have somebody.
All right. Winner, chicken dinner.
Oh, Mr. Crowley.
Hey, Anthony, what's
Yay.
going on?
Ah.
Oh, wait, we do have somebody.
What's
All
up, guys?
right. Winner, chicken
Oh,
dinner.
Mr. Crowley.
What's up with you
I'm
guys?
trying to sneak in.
Yeah,
So, Anthony, what are your thoughts on all this?
it's you guys don't even want my thoughts half the time. It's such a mixed basket. It really is. It's a mixed basket. I'm half of one, you know, half a dozen of one, six of another kind of thing. So
Why don't you think that we see more ghost cars out there?
it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I mean, if you're talking memory stones, you're talking, you know, granite or whatever the stone is that retains, you know, data and stuff like that, maybe, but it doesn't have a consciousness. It's not conscious. It doesn't have energy as far as, you know, manifesting itself. It
But
doesn't.
either is a boat.
What's that?
Either does a boat.
But those boats come with people on them. Most
Cars
of the
come
time.
with people in them.
I guess you got an argument there, but I don't know. I think it's more of a memory. It's not a collective conscious. It's not you know, like an intelligent manifestation kind of thing.
Okay, so you think I see what you're saying, yeah, because it kind of reminds me of like I had this on my podcast. I had this this girl called this woman, sorry, called the cryptic bartender. Anyway, she just told us a ghost story about how she was at her grandpa's house, and she saw like a guy walking toward her on this. It was a wooded area, and then she saw this guy just walking toward her. And she said he looked like a normal guy, contemporary clothes and everything. And there wasn't anything strange about him, but he was like a ghost because he was like walking through gates, like physical gates, but he was also moving up like leaves and whatever. And so that, I mean, just an interpretation of that sounds more like some kind of glitch in a system, or it doesn't really sound like an intelligent.
That's more of a
ghost.
memory.
It sounds more like,
A memory.
Yeah, like a memory or like, yeah.
Absolutely.
So you're saying some of these, you believe that's the interpretation of some of these
I
ghost
think
ships?
I
It's
think
more of a
most of
memory?
them are just memories that are replaying for whatever reason. I
Mhm.
can't give an explanation. Nobody's an expert, but I can't give an explanation for the reason why it would just keep repeating and remanifesting itself. But
So
it does sound like it's not interactive. It's not riding around your boat. It's not moving to avoid you. It's none of these things. It's just a simple,
So like a residual haunting.
reoccurrence,
Yeah.
basically. So that would be my point for that.
It's interesting.
So this doesn't have anything to do with anything. I just want to mention this. Lee Bodge sent me a message and he asked me, he said, have you heard of this movie? The movie's called Bigfoot, The Lost Coast Tapes. And it's like one of those found footage things. And I watched the preview and it looked good. So Ralph and my wife and I watched it last night. I'm going to give some helpful advice to all the viewers. Do not watch this movie. It's streaming on Prime and it's just awful. From the acting, the directing, the production, the writing, God, just awful. So
And
do yourself a favor.
sorry if I was giving any feedback.
That's okay.
So no, I just got a brand new mic and I'm kind of
Oh, okay.
I'm
Nice.
getting used to putting the headphones on and keeping the
Can
feedback
you?
up.
I saw you had commented earlier that correct me if I'm wrong, but you're about to start some investigations, or you had already started some of your first
No,
investigations.
we're actually going to Crescent this next month, the Sanatorium here in Pennsylvania. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, we're going to. I'm actually going to be official, not just solo. I'm actually going with a group
Okay.
to do an investigation. So that's what I was
Very
saying last
cool.
time. Is I've done my own investigations, what have you, but I've never been part of a larger group. So I'm excited and eager to see what they have to throw into the mix.
So, what's the history of the sanatorium? When was it operational? When did it close down? What are the stories that have been told about it?
The early 1900s. If you look at it, it's a compound. It's not even like, if you look at the place, it is a freaking compound. It is huge. And there is so much history behind it, between the wars and everything else. I'm eager and excited to see what we get out of there. So,
And what are the logistics of something like that? Do you have to ask for permission, or?
yeah. Actually,
That's
we had to pay for it, to be
Okay.
there, what have you. So we're going to be there pretty much all night.
Oh,
So-
okay. Wow,
Are you
that's
going to
cool.
be recording this for a television show, perhaps, or what?
No,
Oh.
it's just a little private viewing. It's
Oh,
probably
okay.
about 15, 20 of us going, to
And-
investigate.
And are you taking any equipment personally? Cameras, recorders?
Yeah,
or any-
I got my new equipment. It's I got a brand new recorder. We're going to see. Like I said, this is my first actual real investigation to where it's going to be, logged and
Yes.
what have you. So I'm pretty excited, man.
You think
How
you'll be
old is this
sleeping?
place?
Let me look real fast. I don't want to be a jerk. Hold on. Or misrepresent. Let me look up the Crescent real fast. Hold on. Crescent Sanatorium is. Hold on. It is. I'm looking. Hold on.
Sanatorium.
Yeah, you'll probably find it faster than I will. 1916 to 1964. It was a tuberculosis sanatorium.
Gotcha.
I imagine it's pretty dilapidated at this point, so be careful.
If you look at it, it is, like I said, it's like a compound. It's not what you would think. If you
Really?
look at it, it encompasses many buildings, many acres. It is huge. So like I said, I'm eager to see, what we can individually find from the different areas.
I'm gonna have to look into that place.
Do you think you'll be doing any sleeping when you're actually there, or
If
you said it's overnights?
If I get tired, I will. I'm not afraid of shit. So you guys already know my story. I'm not afraid of it. So, it's I'm super interested to see, what I get, because I told you guys I had my own stuff. I don't know if you can hear my son beating the drums downstairs, but I'm sorry if you can. But
That's okay.
it's I've had my own experiences just in this house where I'm at now, and I've had my previous experiences. So I'm really interested and excited to see what, what I can bring to the field, or what I can, discover or hear or see or what have you. Hold on, let me go shut my door.
No problem.
Should
Well,
ask
that's
him to
cool.
do a drum solo.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, $1,000 drum set for Christmas. Anyway,
well, we'd love to have you on after you do it to hear what about the experience first.
I'd be more than happy to share anything that I find out.
When are you doing this again?
It is March 26th, I think.
Oh, okay. So coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, it's the end of March. So I'm super excited. It's like I said, I've done my own investigations and I've, had my own things, but this is the actual first time I get to go out with a team, and we're going to split out into like 3-man teams throughout the complex. So it's going to be pretty cool.
And what kind of activity have people reported in the past? What have people seen?
Everything. Visual manifestations, physical manifestations, EVPs, everything. So that's what I said. I'm excited to see what each different group gets from the different areas,
right,
of the place. So,
is there one particular area that's particularly haunted?
That I cannot answer. I don't know. I haven't looked into it that deeply. I just know the place is one of the most haunted places in Pennsylvania. So
next Sunday we're going to have Victoria Monday on with us, and she does the podcast with Mike Ricksecker called Edge of the Rabbit Hole. And so anyway, she's going to be on with us next week. And so I'm kind of really interested to talk to her because, she's a paranormal investigator. And, and I love this stuff. I wish I could get into the paranormal investigation rather than just research. And here in Las Vegas, there are a lot of hauntings around here. So,
I lived in Las Vegas for 20 years,
Did you?
Yeah, I lived in North Las Vegas up by Floyd Lamb State Park.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I lived right up there for almost 20 years. I was law enforcement out there.
Oh, were you?
And I have a few stories about law enforcement out there.
Go ahead and share them. I'm very curious. Could you share one of those law enforcement stories?
I did 7 years on the street. I was at the state of Nevada, and I did 7 years in a prison, high density state prison, out by Tonopah Test Range. And I got tired of dealing with people, so I went to tower duty. And one day I was in Tower 4, and I was not sleeping. This was not like some fever dream. It wasn't anything else. I literally felt and heard something rolling up the stairs to the tower. Okay. There's only 2 individuals that have access to a tower in a prison. Sure. And I felt somebody storming up the stairs so much that I grabbed the shotgun and I sat on the little toilet with that shotgun loaded and just waited for hours.
Oh,
I heard and I felt somebody coming up those stairs. It wasn't like just heard. I felt the thunder coming up those stairs.
Right. Because I imagine it's kind of a smallish building. So if somebody's stepping, you could feel the vibration.
It's a tower. I mean, it's a tower. I mean, you can just pretty much visualize a tower, and there's just steps and a platform at the top.
Yeah.
And I felt it.
Exactly.
If I would have
Wow.
heard something, that would have been one thing. I felt the thunder coming up those stairs after me. So it's pretty cool.
I'd like to look into some of the hauntings on the Strip.
Sure. That almost.
Unfortunately, I hate the Strip, so I don't want to go down there.
Everybody, if you live in Vegas, you hate the Strip. You never go down there ever, because there's so much outside of the Strip. You never have to go down there. Period. You know, I lived there long enough. I know that. My second story from the prison is I was in Unit 10. Wait, 11. I was in Unit 11. I was up in the control bubble, to where I operate all the doors. Everybody comes and goes, you know, whenever I let them come and go, type thing. And it was the middle of the night, and I heard footsteps running across the tier, like wet footsteps, like fat. And I ran to the window, and I was like, "Did you guys hear that?" And one of the inmates came to the door, and he said, "Yeah, CO, that happens all the time. Dude died in a shower."
Oh, really?
So it was pretty freaking cool. You know what I mean? It really was to have actually somebody confirm and be like, "Yeah, CO, you heard that."
Interesting.
You know,
Interesting.
So it was cool.
Yeah. I was going to say your tower story, it almost sounds like something was trying to scare you on purpose, you know?
It worked.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked, right?
You know, I'm not a little guy. I'm not, you know, I'm an alpha male. I'm not afraid of shit. But yeah, that I was afraid. I grabbed the shotgun. I racked around into it. And I sat on the toilet at the top of the stairs and waited.
Right.
You know, I don't even know how long I sat there. I don't. But it was for real. I felt it. You know what I mean? It's one thing if you hear something.
Right.
It's another thing if you feel something. You know, and I felt it. So it was pretty cool.
Right. And then your story has a lot of credibility, or it's very interesting because this isn't an area where it's a very secure area. Not anybody can go there. You can't say like, oh, it was just some kids playing around. I mean, teenagers are not going to get into a prison tower just to play around, right?
There's only two people that have the key to, you know, to your tower. That is the warden of the prison, and that is the security forces, you know, and that's it. Right. Those are the only people. Because I thought somebody was messing with me. I really did. Right. I thought somebody, because like I'm a big goofball, you know. Yeah. I am a martial artist, and we did training together, and I thought somebody was coming up just messing with me. But nobody was there. You know, I went out to the balcony, I looked down, and the only way in the tower, if you don't have that key, is for an officer to drop a bucket down with the key in it.
Right.
That's your only way in. You know, so it was real. It was real. So super cool. I would love to know or what happened around that tower. You know, I mean, there's no way to figure that out, obviously. It was a High Desert State Prison, Terry. So
interesting. Wow. Yeah. Well, those are two very creepy stories. Did you have anything else happen that maybe not work related, or just paranormal things in Las Vegas that happened?
Well, I think I told the one story where I woke up. It was about 2:30 in the morning. It was kind of the witching hour, and I was living just south of the Las Vegas Convention Center. You guys know where that's at, right?
Right.
Okay. Off Desert Inn, right there, and I've never felt evil like I felt that night. Something came through there and woke everybody up. And it wasn't a sound. There was nothing physical involved. It was just this feeling. It was evil. I went and grabbed a weapon whenever I felt it. I looked outside my window. All my neighbors' lights were coming on. They actually called the cops.
Really?
You know, to report an intruder. And there was nothing out there. It was just this feeling of like just straight evil. Wow. You know, just this dread that just permeated your soul. And I've never felt that before. I grew up in a possessed house. I grew up in a poltergeist house. I never felt evil like I did that night. That night was straight evil. There was something coming through there that was just not good. It was not good at all. So that would be my only other story from Vegas.
Yeah, there's a lot of strange stuff that happens here, regardless of ghosts. But I mean, something like that, where you just felt this evil presence. There's a lot of that here. There's a lot of UFO activity here that people they don't realize it, because a lot of people come here just as tourists. And, when you're down on the strip, or downtown, you don't look up, and even if you do, it's so bright that you wouldn't be able to see anything. But you get outside outside of the main strip and that kind of thing, and you can see stuff in the sky here. We've seen countless things here. As I've said before, people always tell me that they want to see a UFO, and I'm like, come to Vegas and look up. You're likely to see something.
Well, like I said, I was stationed at Nellis Air Force Base. I had a top secret security clearance. I was a photosensor tech, and I was working on shit that people just now know about. And I sit there and I think to myself, I'm like, man, that was 20 years ago. What is there now? You know what I mean? I was on planes that nobody even knew about. I was working on them, climbing into them, the B1s, the B2s, and what have you. And it's like, I can only imagine, what's going on down there now.
Well, I had a guy once tell me that there are things in the Nevada skies now that are equivalent to the tech of Star Trek. And I don't doubt it. From some of the things we've seen here, yeah, definitely.
And I don't doubt it as well, because like I said, I was working on stuff you didn't even know about, So fast forward 20 years, what don't I know about?
Imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I can only imagine. You know what I mean? My technology and what I was working on, I was working lasers, radar, infrared. That was my job in the military, targeting and navigational systems. And I can only imagine. They actually deleted my job shred now. So what have we moved on to?
Well, and I was going to bring that up specifically about Area 51. I don't think that they're working on that kind of stuff at Area 51 anymore.
They're not.
I think that they receive so much heat over the past few years that they've moved their base pretty much, or their operations on that kind of stuff elsewhere. I don't know where, but
the easiest place to keep something hidden is in plain sight. Okay. Area 51 is a trap. Area 52 is a trap. It's just to keep people's imagination, keep their interest, keep their, focus on that specific area. Wright-Patterson, Ohio. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a few bases that I know about that, that's right in front of your face, and like I said, the easiest way to hide something is just to put it in front of you.
Yeah.
They don't need to hide stuff. I was at Area 51. There's nothing there. I've been a bunch of different places and there's nothing there. There's not.
I wonder what they're doing at Area 51 now, though, because where we live, we have Janet Airlines go right over our house at least 8 times a day.
I've ridden on the Janets. So.
Have you?
Yes.
They're still flying people out there, but I wonder what they're doing if they're not working on this top secret stuff.
It's basically technology and research. That's what they're doing. It has nothing to do with alien intelligence, hidden UFOs, anything. That's just a private, area. You look at the United States. It's just a private area where they can do their thing, and keep it private. It's about technology and resources. It's not about UFOs and.
No, that would make sense.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I just don't think it's about. I mean, if you want somebody to pay attention to something, you're going to flash something in your left hand. Okay. Your right hand's down here.
Right.
Okay. You're going to flash that in your left hand, your right hand, or what have you. And you want to keep their focus on something that doesn't matter. And honestly, I think Area 51, it's just a test range. That's all it is. It's kind of like Tonopah. It's just a
Right.
test range, to where you have some privacy. Nobody's out there, but I think it's honestly become less of a test range for the simple fact that everybody has eyes out now.
Mhm.
There's 100 people standing outside the gates at Area 51 any
Right.
day, all day.
And I agree. I think Area 51 has become a red herring. And, you're not getting reports from those hundreds of people that hang out there anymore like they
Because
used
there's
to.
nothing going on.
Right.
They're
Right.
not going to show you their cards. It's kind of like a poker player. It's not going to show you your card. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They're going to sit there and, just kind of lead you on. Lead you on and be like, okay, well, you think shit's here? Well, we're going to keep your interest up. We're going to
Yeah.
keep your interest over here. We want you looking over here, but on the other side, that's where the shit's actually happening.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So
Yeah, that
I think
makes a lot of sense.
I think it's funny. Walt Corbin was, I don't know if he's still in the chat room, but at the top of the show, he says, yay, it's not about UFOs this time. Walt, it always goes back to UFOs here at Black Lotus. It's what we do. So,
no, and the thing is everybody's just kind of pushing for answers and looking for this. The answers are already there. I had this conversation the other day on another channel. It's the Space Force. Okay. Everyone's like, why is the Air Force not involved? Why is the Air Force not doing this? They are. They made us freaking Space Force. You know what I mean? The answers are right there. There's no UFO that's going to land on Washington, D.C.'s front lawn and little green men are going to walk out. It's not going to be like that. It's not going to. The answers are there. They already put task force. They put a, political organization in charge of, UFOs, UAPs and stuff like that. It's real. It's right there. It's right in front of your face. It's already there. And everybody keeps saying, well, when are we going to get? You've already got it.
we already have. We really have. It's not much, but we have had disclosure.
Exactly. It's there. It's real. People are addressing it. The main media, mainstream media is addressing it. The United States government is addressing it. They have organizations, dedicated to this now.
How well do you think the United States government understands the phenomenon?
That's not really addressable. It's not, because the simple fact is I mean, they're never going to come out and give you the answer, because the answer is, it's not good for our national, security.
It's not good news. It's not good news.
Yeah. And I just don't think that, we're going to get what we're looking for whenever you come to that question. And we're never going to understand what they understand. We're never going to see what they see, for the simple fact it's national security. It is, because I'm not going to come to you and tell you I don't understand something and expect you to feel safe. And that's the government's job, is to make us feel safe and to make us feel sheltered and taken care of. And I'm not going to come to you and be like, there's this shit over here, man. I don't know. And that's just not going to happen. Yeah, I think they know more than what they leave on, but I don't think they're ever going to share what they know. Not completely. on a security
Right,
level.
right.
It really wouldn't be smart of them
Well, I
to
was-
do that. You know,
You'd be terrified. They're here to protect you. They're the security of our nation. They're the security for invasions, for everything else. And if they come out and said, you know what, there's this shit over here. We have no idea what it is. We can't control it. We can't defend it. We have no idea what it is. You're going to be terrified.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
it seems like the only current, look, I could be wrong. I'm guessing. I'm speculating. This is just for America. It seems like the only current threat that is happening with UFOs in America is the abductions. And abductions don't seem to be deadly. Although I have heard reports that people do go missing. Lon Strickler from Phantoms and Monsters, he says a lot of people that are abducted just end up going missing. But either way, it sounds like that is the main threat. To
No, the
Americans
main threat
currently.
is the technology. You have things that are performing zero G, maneuvers in the sky. They are going and doing things that physically, as long as our physics and our science are involved, can't even happen. They're doing things that we can't even comprehend. We can't explain. There's no scientific reason or scientific explanation for what they're doing. That's the scary part.
Right. Well, if I could clarify, so that, yeah, obviously the scariest thing is that they have the technology to wipe us out. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that what kind of power are they currently executing on us that is hurting us? Now, what they could potentially do, and from what I see, what they're actually doing right now, not potentially, is the abduction phenomenon. What I'm saying is they have this great technology, like you said, their ships are so fast, potentially they could destroy us, but they haven't done that. So that is the greatest threat. But what they're currently actually doing, it seems to be abductions.
So you want the rabbit hole? Is
Sure.
that what you're looking for? We'll do the rabbit hole. Okay. Everybody's looking for God. Okay. Everybody is looking for God. And maybe they're looking for God too. And if you look at the Bible and the scriptures and what have you, I'm not a religious guy. I'm just going down a rabbit hole right now. I'm more of a Buddhist, but we are the son of God, correct?
Yes,
According to the scriptures.
that is the story.
So maybe they're abducting us in search of God. That's why they're doing their experimentations. That's why they're abducting us and doing all these experiments, because they're looking for God, and we are the children of God. So they're looking for the final answer. That's my rabbit hole. I won't do that again. So
Very interesting.
well, we are coming up quickly on the hour, and so we're going to get out of here. Folks, thanks a lot for watching. And again, don't forget to like, please share, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notified each time we're going to do this.
And thank you so much, Tony, for coming on, Tony. I
Yes,
really
thank
appreciate
you very much, Anthony.
absolutely, guys, I'm always here for you. So as shallow as it may be.
Until next time, folks, keep thinking and question everything.
Good night, everybody.
it. Good night.